Man's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we invite you to be part of today's discussion. Open line until 1 o'clock. That means a number of things. Most importantly, an opportunity for us to share and engage you directly and hear what you have to say. And what's interesting is that increasingly more and more people are not seemingly speculating about, what happened and why. They're like calling it on the money, as they say. Know exactly what's going to happen. Is this one going to go there? Did that one do that? Well, some would talk about it being conjecture, rumor, and innuendo. Some would even say it's so, spot on that it's almost as if they're reading from a historical record. Well, a society can't be informed if it's not involved, and it can't be involved if it's not concerned. And if it's not concerned, then where are we at the end of the day? Well, where are you? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's a Thursday. Thursdays we have members from the opposition, as we do on Wednesdays, members from the government, to give a chance, an opportunity to, hear from our elected officials. Now, as it stands, we have Honourable D. Ezra Miller joining us at 1 p.m. We'll have some open line in short order. Until then, and you can call and share your thoughts with us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. What's quite interesting, it seems that more and more of our people are willing, at least at the outset, to not just share somewhat semi-publicly, but increasingly more and more a thought process and general discussions, should we say, regarding what we should be doing with our country's efforts relative to legalizing or decriminalizing. Now, I deliberately and specifically use those terms, not that they're interchangeable, but to ask, is it more than semantics, and why are we making such a differentiation between the two? And if we were going to go forward, what is the sort of the reasoning why we're doing it? Is it that we're being incentivized because we see the huge amount of money that a government can make by legalizing ganja, marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it? And when we look at some countries, or if we look at the US, some states have already seemingly been reported to have made in short order. So is money, like everything else in most places, seem to be the order of the day. Is it because we see that, on one hand, there's significant medicinal values to the properties in this seemingly complex series of compounds and chemicals that make up the plant, as it were? Now, I will, as I said to a couple of people, at some point in time, spend some time reading about it. I haven't. I don't know that I understand THC from the cannabinoids. I don't know that I understand, and I don't know that I'm sufficiently motivated. What I do recognize is that as a people, we have, because of perhaps religious, cultural, or historical beliefs, have set up in our mindsets this particular view that is seemingly unshakable. We're unwavering in our thought process, whether we are for or we are against. But for some, again, with great respect, it isn't because we looked at it from any great scientific research, simply because we have this view based on this predetermined set of values. Doesn't mean that we're wrong. Doesn't mean that we're right either. Now, whatever decision is made, is it going to be one that is going to benefit the country? Is it? And some of you may be offended to hear it, but it is seemingly true. Is it because there are some people in some positions, we would talk about, highfalutin positions, highfalutin people, who recreationally, specifically, engage in a spliff or two, just like some would have a cigar or a cigarette or a glass of scotch, sherry, wine, rum, whatever their drink of choice is. And they want this just to be another one of those things that they enjoy leisurely in the company of people. So you may break out the finest Cuban cigar, or you may have the best whatever that thing is, and it's legal. You pass it around and you show off your wealth, your status, you impress your friends, you try to sway some client or you try to influence somebody else. Well, maybe this is just another, part of that process. The concerns that others have, though, is that in trying to do this to let those people who engage it in that way to be legitimized, are we going to also open the doors to others, younger people in particular, to partake at their peril? And when we treat it as such, are we opening the floodgates? Now, I had an extended conversation with an elderly member of our community just recently who said that, in life we experiment. In life we look at things, whether it's through, a series of trials and errors. We're going to invest in a particular thing. We're going to consider a possible career. We may even, determine that a particular diet and lifestyle is the way to go. So, experimentation, she would call it. But she says that if we get some things wrong, it's not only about opening Pandora's box. She says this is about, being to unring the bell. And with this, perhaps for too long, we've had it wrong when it comes to, drugs, as it were. She says, and I tend to perhaps been swayed by it because I may have that same view. She says when we think of, alcohol, we say, drugs and alcohol. So alcohol is a drug. It's legalized, legitimized, we accept it. And even so, sometimes, unfortunately, we don't seem to understand that it's costly, it's dangerous, it's resulted in the death of many. Not just, those behind the wheel of some vehicle or some industrial accident or some mishap because your sense of judgment has been impaired. Your otherwise good faculties have been compromised, and so you make perhaps impaired decisions. But she says, look at tobacco. You can legally smoke it. Okay, we put greater restrictions on where you can smoke and in some places at what age. Now, is it that if we don't look at the cannabis similarly, could we still make and enter some of those similar pitfalls? But if the restriction is simply because we're trying to perhaps protect one sector over another, is it to our detriment from the medical value as well as the financial aspect? Now, your thoughts. It's open line until 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, Honorable D. Ezra Miller is our guest. Let's go to our phones. Welcome here on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon. All right, let me see where we are. Hey, listen, bear with us, It's a Thursday, and the only thing different between a Thursday and a Wednesday is, one comes before, one comes after. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, Dwayne, it's Elvis in the back. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. Elvis, how are you today, sir?
Good, man. I listened to the same topic that you brought up. I was bringing up because I called Osi a couple of days ago, but you can't get him to engage in nothing like this. He's on a different page. Anyhow, within the last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Within the last month, we caught 1,300 pounds of weed, right? And in our two instances now, we had firearms dealing with it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you really don't think it's time for us to take our heads out of there? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, the sun, huh?
Yeah, whatever. That's a nice way.
Yes, sir.
I had a different word, but...
I know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying now, Green, obviously, there is marijuana being consumed in the Cayman Islands, in Grand Cayman, in a very high rate. And it's not just the locals. We have the people that come in. Listen, when I was talking about it and somebody, a lady that calls in all the time, I can't remember her name. She was talking, and she said people come off the airplane, ask her, can you get some weed? They come off the cruise ship, ask her, can you get some weed? Listen, we're 90 miles from one of the world's top producers of marijuana. So obviously they're thinking, look here, you can come, Cayman, you're going to get weed to smoke. Now you can get it, but it's illegal. And the people go through all this ritual. And listen, it's time for the politicians, the church people, the voters to say, listen, the vote is missing us by. We need to legalize marijuana for we don't got a medical, but we're not producing ourselves. We are capable of producing, right? For recreational, medical. And look here, don't make nobody fool you. We got a generation now that, like I hear, but the unemployed between 18 and 25. That is statistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, every one of them, listen to me now. Now I got 90% of them smoke marijuana, and 90% of them got a record of some sort. That's why they keep them out of the workforce, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can guarantee you that if they could grow marijuana at the end of the month, they could make $2,000, $2,000, but they could smoke their little weed in peace. I can guarantee you, the crime rate would drop. You wouldn't believe it, because listen to me now. This is the world. Let's face it, Cayman. We are living in the world. Listen to the place about the island that time forgot. We got technology, brother, that you can do anything in these little islands, okay? When you see a 13-mile island, the Caribbean, that you got jets landing on it, we know the island that time forgot. We are missing the boat. We have the soil, we have the sunshine, we have the weather. Let's put our youth to work. Look here, you don't have to have a degree to do a little farming, you know. Somebody have to do the harvesting. Somebody have to do the packaging. You know, it's a trickle down. But now, knowing the Cayman people like how I know them, if we decide to legalize it, the first thing we can say, well, you have to have an agronomist to grow it and all the red tapes, right? Well, if that's what we're going to come up with, let's everybody promoting agriculture in the Cayman Island. Well, let's send some of our kids to be agronomists. Cayman Black need one right now. We don't have nothing going on here in that sense, right? You understand what I'm saying?
I'll listen to you. And I have two questions to ask you when you're ready, right?
Okay. Yeah, just go ahead and ask one right now.
Okay.
So we can work on it.
Yeah, man. First question in relation to, you talk about the recent reports from the police about the amount of ganja that's been sort of intercepted and the guns. Do you think that if we legalized it so that people could grow it, they could go legal and get it, for their personal use, do you think that the amount that has come into the country illegally and the criminal aspect of it, do you think that would just almost disappear?
Exactly. Look here. If you can supply something, they bring in weed from Jamaica. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the weed they bring is $200 a pound weed, $300 a pound. Listen, some of the weed you can get $1,000 a pound for it. If we can supply the same weed here,
mm-hmm.
right? What it is that they're not leaving there to come. You think that they're gonna leave Jamaica to bring weed here to sell it $25, $50 a pound?
Yeah. Okay.
No,
sorry, let me interrupt you then, because what you just said then takes my next question in terms of quality control, the quality, right? And I want to share this because of discussions with a few people who are, how do I put it, much more knowledgeable from their profession, whether they're in law enforcement, whether they're in the medical sector, whether they're in rehabilitation. I didn't know this. I found this out recently that I'll use the word cut. The weed is cut with something. They put stuff in it, right, to preserve it when they're shipping it. The formaldehyde was one of the things I remember. Do you think then if we were growing it here, if it was available locally, that the quality would be that much better? Safer?
Superior.
Okay.
It would be superior. Hey, I'll tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I grow vegetables here, and I sell vegetables too. American people, some people came there, I'll check it out, tomatoes.
Right, okay.
And the woman just bought a couple. She said, and I showed she bought a couple. And when she came back, she said, I didn't know you guys grew tomatoes like this. She said, what you using, what kind of, and I told her, when in the cow manure, but seaweed
mm-hmm.
and all that. And I lose a lot by not spraying the dieting, and I lost a lot through worms, but they're not sprayed. I mean, this is something that you watch and grow. You when you're watching something grow, you know what you are getting, what are you producing, and your suppliers, whether it be the pharmacists or the guys for recreational, they can come and inspect your farm just like how the agriculture people do here. If you're killing a cow, it has to be inspected. If it don't meet the standard, it's rejected.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And no, with that, because from what you're sharing, the concern is that we're looking at quality. Now, you said earlier you can get weed brought in, and you said $200, $300, $1,000. Is that because the quality is better? I don't want to sound like we're promoting it, but I'm thinking of safety concerns, economics, and the like, and the growing discussions that are being had in this community, from the medical sector to the legal sector to the educational sector. People are talking about it.
Well, okay, listen to me. Listen to me. Do you notice a trend that they've been catching weed coming in from Miami?
I don't know if it's a trend, but yeah, I noticed a report saying that coming through, yeah.
Okay, listen to me, brother. Word on the street, because I smoke it too. The one from Miami, that is selling for $2,000 a pound, bro.
Wow.
Different quality, 2,000 CI a pound. If you want a pound of that, my friend, trust me, that's all $10, $15, $20 a gram. You understand? They're not giving that away. That's quality weed. That's what's selling on the 7 Mile Strip to the lawyers, the bankers, and all them put together. You see down there? That's the kind of weed they licking, high grade. Strictly, you heard that word?
Yeah, man.
High
Listen to
grade.
it. Yeah, man.
That's what they're licking. But I'm putting this out today. The politicians, they need to come up. The people got to talk some. Tell any politician that you can tell me this, that if he come up on a platform and say that he not legalize weed, he don't want legalized weed, and he don't want nobody that smoke ganja or the family that smoke ganja vote for him, he will never be elected in the Cayman Islands, partner. You can take that from Elvis, Jeffrey McKeever. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Blessings to you, man. Thanks for putting it on the table. And we do have some callers with the greatest respect, and we ask you, just hang on. I want to keep my job for at least today, but more importantly, I want the team around me to have theirs and can't say he didn't take the break late, but that's his problem. All right, callers, when we come back, we'll get to you. Stay tuned.
Whether you're planning your child's next birthday party or simply looking for a social night out, look no further than Kingpin Bowling at King Sports Center.
With a range of packages and specials for bowling parties, socials, and corporate team building, Kingpin Bowling offers what no one else can. The only bowling alley in Cayman. And it's indoor fun, which means no mosquitoes, AC, and don't forget about their bowling bar. Book your bowling lanes today. Call 946-BOWL. That's 946-2495. Email kingpinbowling@candw.ky. For more information, visit their website, www.kingsportscenter.com.
King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Save time, don't stand in line. You can apply for or renew your trade and business license online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just visit dci.gov.ky and click on the trade and business online application link. Now, you don't need to stand in line, take time out of your busy schedule, or try to find parking. You can apply for your trade and business license online. Visit dci.gov.ky today and save time for running your business.
Hi, I'm Colin Lumsden, the Georgetown manager and head of the Revitalization Initiative. Our capital city is the heart of business activities in the Cayman Islands, and we would like to bring it back as a center of social activities. With streetside cafes, green spaces, improved roads, and proper walkways for interconnectivity. The new cruise and cargo port is part of the plan and will allow for operators to meet passengers dockside with less lines and overcrowding. Cargo operations will be less intrusive. There will be pedestrianized areas for people to safely walk, shop, and dine. Modernizing the cruise and cargo port is a key element in the efforts to revitalizing our capital city.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. Some open line, 1 o'clock. Honorable Ezra Miller joins us, but let's go to our phones. Welcome, you're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Hey, hola.
You on, man? At least I'm hearing you.
Yes, good afternoon.
Afternoon to you.
The first caller is my uncle, respect, right? When you learn from him, different message.
Okay.
You learn to get through, anyway. And he say everything. I mean, preaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's done in, you see the recreation of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's euphoria, right? Where being happiness.
The euphoria part of it, huh? Euphoric.
Right?
All right.
Euphoria and the whole volatility of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a conscious choice, right? Everyone going on with his red flags and hurdles. So they look at the white collar jobs, right? And those layer jets that land here, citation jets. They highest in the drugs, high opioids, you tell you? It came out now, you know what that, you can afford it,
yeah.
That's the high roller. But came out now, came out now, more typical people I see, right? I see people will be growing up, oh, he's a weed head. And they got family members that on cocaine, crap.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
But that's how it is, prejudging, right? And if you really want a petition, and we look at the petition, go to marijuana. You see the results right away. No stalling, right?
Mm-hmm.
No hiccups, right? And it's done in, like I said again, you see I don't change the subject, you see this Brexit thing, yeah?
Uh-huh.
It's annoying now, because all you are about now is a conditional request and answers response, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Marco Ronaldo, a couple of hours ago, the Frenchman there, he advocated for it, right? And listen, the marijuana thing, right? And how that legalized to the fullest. Like I said again, deficit paid off right away, right? That everything, right? We can sustain our stuff, infrastructure, many ways.
So why is it that you think that came on? I look back to, and I hope that I recall some of the names. This was years ago. People like former Secretary of State in the U.S., people like the former Secretary General of the UN, political leaders globally have been calling, over the last decade and a bit, that we should look at this more seriously in terms of legalizing or /decriminalizing. What is it in Cayman that is hindering our willingness to look at this? Is it that we know better, or is it that we know better?
Yes, again, right. I call you Monday. I see like former politicians and dignitaries. They see legalize every now how they can, right? You see, came out now. Man can ever say, time forgotten. Listen, the reminiscent days gone now, right? The mosquitoes, palm days in days gone. Donkey gone. You tell you? So we got modernized the time, concept era, right? And you see, in the US now, the war on drugs failed long time, right? Corruption, CIA, DEA behind it. You tell you? And like I said yesterday in Mexico, right? £1, right? $1,200. They turned down, sell it to the metropolitan instead for $1,000. So they say, boy, look here, you gotta legalize it now, right? Look at the Denver. You know what I'm saying? Right? That's the marijuana state, Colorado, right? Remember they went there about 2 times, transit to go to California, right? It's a beautiful place, the Rocky Mountains, whatever. But I know that's not the point I make. So they came on now. We believe in this old thing, stay in church. Not wrong with that now. But listen, generation gap, every 25 years, generation gap. I boy the 4 now. We got millennials. And they got the Gen or Generation Z, whatever we call. They got savvy, they withdraw from community. Sensitive, habit-free, what you want to call it. Hello? So, we got out better on stuff, right? Long-term planning, right? Master planning. Stop pay around, like some dollar house thing. Because like in UK now, the application, go on. International domestic over there. So for a simple thing, what about custom union and backstop? Right? And they got knife crimes around there, the juveniles, right? Delinquents. Is it? And that's it. Hello. So then all I seen came on, they will wake up for the coffee. Dog eat supper. What tell you? Alright, so that's my contribution. Cool.
Well, listen, as usual, man, thank you for making the contribution and appreciate you. Hopefully we'll get a chat with you again some more. Alright. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. As we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us, it can be whatever you wish. It's open line, 1 o'clock. Honourable D. Ezra Miller, as the opposition leader, joins us and we have a chance to chat with him. Now, one of the things, as the caller just shared, that should be perhaps striking to us is there seems to have been to date an unwillingness on the part of many of us to face things head on. Now, I think a lot of us, maybe it's in our cultural psyche, we don't like confrontation. That's fine. Some of us could probably take a little dose of that and chill a little bit more. But we need to face things head on. Burying our heads in the sand don't mean that the problem will go away or doesn't exist. But if you sort of bury your heads in the sand, are you exposing yourself to a greater risk, because then you can't see what's coming. Now, likewise with most things. And the only reason why I referenced the issue with marijuana, ganja, cannabis, I note two things. One, the word that we use to describe it will strike a nerve with some people. If we say ganja, marijuana, we probably have a more of a negative connotation. Cannabis sounds a little bit more official and scientific, and some may for a second not quite pick up what we're sharing, depending on who's saying it. Secondly, if there is any medicinal properties to it that could potentially be beneficial to all of us, and it's not being explored because of, as some of you have alleged publicly and otherwise, one, big pharma, the big pharmaceutical companies, not just the businesses here, but internationally, would try to keep it until they can control it. Or two, the notion that if we can control the quality and we can improve the safety, and so we should be looking at it from that perspective, then why is it that we're not doing that? Now, I don't think anybody, whether it's something that they smoke or something that they drink or otherwise consume, that we want to put it in people in harm's way. And we certainly don't want to make things appealing, because for some it's this thing that is so almost taboo, so untouchable, so out of reach, that in and of itself that creates that sense of luring attraction. But secondly, we don't want to make it so readily accessible. Now, people's approach to how they speak to their children about, say, alcohol consumption. They may have it locked away in a cabinet. They may have it on an open shelf, and children in the household may respond according to how the parents instruct, or they may not. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It is open line, as we invite you to share your thoughts with us. Happy to have you engage us and take us to task. Or you can say, what? It's about time we did this or didn't do that. What is your view? Now, some of you have shared that you leave it to the elected government to make decisions / policy. Some of you say, but no. They're there at her sort of behest. They should be doing what we tell them. Well, how are they going to know what to do if we're not telling them? And if we who are telling them are we call special interest by the other we, then when the policy, the law, the practice, the enforcement of the selected items are sort of born to bear, then where are the fingers being pointed? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. As you call, we're happy to take your calls. All right, one quick break at 1:45. Look at that, boy. Almost on time today. Almost on time. Got to keep my staff happy. Right? Make sure my team are... Anyway, let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Did you know your home is wasting electricity right now? Appliances or electronic devices can use electricity even when they are not in use or switched off. Also known as energy vampires, things like your cable box and microwave are wasting your valuable money. Don't let these devices keep sucking your power. To save money, simply group these devices together on a power strip and turn off the strip when it's not in use. Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page for more tips on keeping your home energy efficient. Be an energy advocate.
This Easter weekend, the Cayman Islands will welcome the rest of the Caribbean, and you do not want to miss it. Carifta 2019 takes place at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex from April 20th to 22nd. Watch the region's most talented track and field athletes compete and come cheer on your Cayman athletes. Get ready to raise your flags at the Caribbean's biggest athletic event this Easter weekend. It's Carifta 2019. Tickets start as low as $10. On sale now at caymancarifta2019.ky. See you at the games.
Carifta 2019, brought to you in partnership with the Cayman Islands Government and CUC. Sponsored by the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, DART, Maples Group, Pinnacle Media, and Radio Cayman.
It's all about unity.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination, offering a variety of vacation experiences. And regular Miami airfares are now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, with Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Need something for your car? Then visit Hell Service Station on Hell Road in West Bay. Over 150 items for you to choose from, including Mother's Car Care products, Back to Black, Turtle Wax, Armor All, Scratch Doctor and New Finish, Wash and Detailer, and many more car care products. CRC electrical sprays and marine grease, bicycle accessories, tire sealers. It's all at Hell Service Station.
Family owned and operated for over 43 years.
At Hell Service Station on Hell Road in West Bay, where you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Hell Service Station.
The dealer who sells satisfaction.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. It is open line, and today is also World Down Syndrome Day. And there are many champions out there. And if you would allow us to partner with them and just take a quick opportunity to highlight and say your sense of gratitude and appreciation, we have a quick little sort of audio that we want to share with you as we celebrate World Down Syndrome Day.
Is World Down Syndrome Day. It was created to celebrate the life of people with Down syndrome and to make sure that people with Down syndrome have some freedoms and opportunities as everybody else. The 21st of March marks with 3 copies of chromosome 21. This is unique to people with Down syndrome. Down Syndrome International first launched the global website in 2006. In 2011, Down Syndrome International asked Brazil to propose that the 21st of March become part of the United Nations calendar. Now on the 21st each year, Down Syndrome International calls everyone to action with people theme to ensure the human rights of people with Down syndrome. Holds events at the United Nations office in New York, USA, and in Geneva in Switzerland. Works with its members to organise worldwide activities and discussions. Every year, more and more people take action on that day. This includes people with Down syndrome, families and friends and supporters, school, companies and civil groups, governments and communities. Join us promote full inclusion on World Down Syndrome Day.
All right, welcome back to Talk Today, and thank you for listening to that. And I think as we celebrate, as we partner, as we share, as we give thanks, we're always, mindful that to whom much is given, much is required. It is open line. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon, Mom.
How are you?
Yes, Mom?
How are you?
Listen, I'll be honest with you, I am very grateful, always.
Yep, same here.
Amen.
Sterling, you had Mr. Elvis came back on earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I am not into this ganja
Mm-hmm.
situation, and I'm not into the cannabis. But if the cannabis can heal, I'm all for it. You know, Sterling, if we continue to do everything to please everybody who comes here and our own to please everybody to get them what they want. Sterling, where is the Cayman Islands that people come here to enjoy? Sterling, I would not agree to how ganja is legalized in the Cayman Islands. It's going to probably be like everything else. It gets in here eventually and gets passed. I am not for it. We have ganja coming here left, right, and center on boats. Some people are being caught for it. And if you know, they got this case going on now with the this lesbian case going on, whatever what you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
You can put your head in a chopping block 10-1. Sterling is going to pass sooner or later. And if we keep passing laws for people and forget about our own people, something is definitely wrong. I have nothing against how anyone want to live their life. They keep it within themselves. You understand? Once they don't bring it around me. Like, only thing I would be concerned of what they would want to say, accomplish here. They would want, they own this and they own that. And our children could be exposed more than what they see on TV or when they do travel. We got kids here don't travel, period. But they see a lot of stuff on TV. You understand? So they get educated one way or the other about the lesbian situation in the world. And the ganja, you know, for a fact, we got that here raging regardless if the boat is caught or not caught. But why we would want to legalize that? And why would we want to grow it here in the Cayman Islands? Sterling, I understand that the people who smoke this stuff, they tend to just be in this sweet mood of just constantly eating and constantly just gritting and smiling and carrying on with a different behavior altogether. I am not saying that is all good and well. That's how they want to feel. That's their business. They keep it within themselves. But don't come out here and ask me for $1 and you want to buy a soda. And when I say, let's go inside and get the soda, you got to tell me, no, I want to buy the soda further down the street. I said, no, you don't want no soda. You want to buy something else, and whatever that something else is, I will not be participating my dollar into you buying whatever habit you may have. You understand? A cigarette or reefer or whatever they may want to purchase. They're not hungry.
Right,
If
right.
they were hungry and thirsty, they would walk into the gas station with me or into the party shop and let me purchase this item for them. I'm not going to put no rum money in their hand. They're not hungry. I just want to say, why is it that we have to have everything the rest of the world has? Why can't we be different? Sterling, we were different from day one. Why are we pleasing everybody and chopping our own fingers off that we got to live here? That means more robbery be going on, more breaking in be going on because these guys don't want money to buy this lift, even more than ever because it's legalized in the Cayman Islands. If America want to legalize it, tell them go America and smoke and come back home.
Mm-hmm.
Sterling, I'll leave you at that.
All right, well, thank you very much. And we do have the Honorable Diaz Jamila in the studio, but we do have a caller. Let's go and share with our call. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Hello, good afternoon.
Dwayne.
Yes, sir. Hey, what's up, bro?
All right. So you heard the defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
The children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the children is still more exposing today with it how it is. It's still easier for them to get it now. So what's she talking about?
Do you think that, well, just as you said, the children today are more exposed, and that's probably just to everything, you know? Just through the internet, they can see gore and nudity, violence. They can learn things from an educational perspective. But even in their households, in their homes, perhaps the only place some say that they're not really learning anything is in schools or churches.
No, there's a lot of stuff, but you got some of them that is still out there trying, and those are the ones that get caught up following the other ones.
Right.
Because they're more exposed to it. What she's talking about is the whole defense that they've been using for the last 70 years. The children. If you're really talking about the children, you would take the money that you spend to fight a plant and give it to the children or give it to the family and the children. Not true?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
You see any politician don't want to run for that? You got one coming in soon, you know, right? You know he can win on a drop. If he did that, right? I bet you he won't do it. But you know why? They get paid out of that money. They get paid out of that money and having it illegal. That same moment you heard it, that's the base and the stronghold of why we can't what you call it, doing everything fair about it. Ask them why we lost that 18. Well, when we had coverage to be 18. Ask them who took that out. When we could go to the hospital for free to be 18. Eh?
All right. Yeah, man. Well, you stay tuned, right? And call back if you want. Okay? All right. And as the caller shared, we do have, as we told you, a man to his word. He says he'll be here at 1. I can tell you, if that digital clock is anything to go by, he was here long before. Good afternoon, Mr. Miller.
Good afternoon, and a couple of minutes earlier.
Yeah. No, well.
But in response to that caller and his, he has his position on marijuana and ganja, cannabis, whatever you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have mine. I have never supported the complete legalization of marijuana, and I have good scientific reasons why I don't. I do not deny that the medicinal marijuana has been proven, not through the kind of test, double-blind studies and stuff that normal medication goes through to do it, but there are people who have benefited by using the medicinal marijuana. But the street marijuana and medicinal marijuana has got some slight differences in it which are very, very important, right? And I am not one who will support the complete legalization of marijuana. I have supported in the past the easing of sentences for consumption and possession of small quantities for your own consumption. But I have some good scientific reasons why I don't support the total legalization of marijuana, and why I support the control of the large-scale distribution of it.
All right. Well, opportune time as we get near our news time. When we come back, we'll enjoy the wonderful company of Mr. Miller. We'll talk about the Legislative Assembly in a positive light.
Yeah.
We may even talk about some of the members. I don't know. I just think what those guys are really going to say. This is why you are where you are, not where you should be. All right, let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Honoring Women's Month continues here in Cayman with a workshop which takes a closer look at how women should make their mark in the workplace. This is hosted by the Family Resource Center. The Women in the Workplace Make Your Mark will be held from 8:30 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. this Friday, that's tomorrow, at the FRC, which is located on 77 Mary Street. Spaces are limited, so call 949-0006 or email frc@gov.ky to register as soon as possible. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Theresa May has said she sincerely hopes the UK will leave the EU with a deal, and she is still working on ensuring Parliament's agreement. Arriving in Brussels, she said that she had personal regret over her request to delay Brexit, but said it would allow time for MPs to make a final choice. More than 70 people are reported to have died after a ferry sank in the Tigris River in Iraq's city of Mosul. Most of the passengers on board could not swim, the head of Mosul's civil defense agency said. Reports suggest more than 100 people were on board. And one of the children caught up in an attack on a school bus in Italy is being hailed by his classmates for saving everyone on board. The bus driver allegedly hijacked the vehicle and its 51 school children near Milan, then set it on fire. Children interviewed by Italian media said 13-year-old Remy Shahata hid his mobile phone when the driver confiscated them from other students. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
The Cayman Brac Agriculture Show Committee presents the 16th Annual Cayman Brac Agriculture Show, Saturday, March 23rd from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Agriculture Grounds of Songbird Drive on the Bluff. Tons of fun for the entire family. Animals, antiques, art and craft displays. Only $8 entrance fee. Children 4 to 10 years old, $4, and free for children 3 and under. Raffle tickets are $10 and include entry for a grand prize of $2,000 among others. Travel from Grand Cayman is a breeze with extra same-day flights on Cayman Airways. Check them out on Facebook at Brac Agriculture Show. Don't miss the annual Cayman Brac Agriculture Show, Saturday, March 23rd.
Cayman, let's recycle together. It's time for our annual Yellow to Green recycling program. Please collect and drop off old dry directories today. Yellow to Green recycling bins are now located at multiple convenient locations. Foster's IGA locations, Hurley Supermarket, Yellow, and participating primary schools. Thank you for supporting the Yellow to Green recycling program, turning old directories into reusable materials. Community program is happening now until March 31st. For more information, please visit findyellow.com.
The Department of Environmental Health is committed to picking up your garbage. To avoid delays, please place all of your household garbage in large bags. Do not overfill garbage bags or place loose trash in containers. These risk lengthy stops, which in turn lead to greater delays. Inform your neighbors too. Their poorly packed garbage will delay your pickup as well. Bag it and bin it. We will collect it. Do your part. We will do ours. Brought to you by the Department of Environmental Health.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. In the studio, Honourable Opposition Leader, Honourable Diaz Miller is our guest. Phone lines are open, and as he's here often, as he says often as he's here. Phone lines are open, and you want to hear directly from our listeners. Mr. Miller, the good friend across the table over there, has some calls in the queue. Mm-hmm. He says, he might be handsome, but he's helpful. So let's go to the phones.
Sometimes that's better.
Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for sharing with us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Miller. I don't want to be like, I'm a man now, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm idle hands now, right? You get my mother calling first.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I call after. Right, the brat Elvis calling.
Right.
They calling for her for breakfast. My bedroom Dan calling afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole modus operandi and mode of operation.
Mm-hmm.
But I have my own opinion and facts. Look at me personally. I never signed up with the shop for no child dress. right? And I never signed no court decision. I know the court going through. Yeah, I get that transparent, right? That my rights now, right? That my credit rights.
Right.
So here to beat now. Everything certification, double SO, right? Like I slept this morning. They got ADHD, right? Pharmaceutical drugs, that's psychosis now, right? Adderall, methamphetamine, get seen Ritalin. They used to call on people psychosis, right? And I see about 5 months ago, I watched a documentary when Governor Nevada or you thought it was, he went through smoke ganja, experimented, right? He went through CT scan. In the brain wave signals, he hallucinate, tell you for smoke ganja. So they go by that now. Who oppose against it? And listen, selling, I got to be certified this year. And for that with high school, ganja flooded down there. So it's I imagine now. So it's all about abstain, you live and learn, right? So I don't see Mr. proposing it, but I'm a Brexit advocate now. You know, it goes on international affairs, and I always use countries so we can decipher that, or I'm afraid that, right? You live and learn, or how to counteract it, yeah. So that's what I say today. And so let me finish. Like I said again, people's society, right? In the judiciary, right? Jobs or white collar jobs. They do harder jobs, they can afford it. And then citation coming down every day, they're debt. Hello, the high rollers. We don't see that. Right? And I smoking months now. That was arrogant. I see that too. You can see that. All right, cool.
Cool, man. Thanks. More time. Well, you know, Mr. Miller, as I listen to callers, as we listen and engage with, you know, people in all walks of life and all facets in our society, we're recognizing that increasingly more and more chatting, and hopefully more and more are, prepared to engage our elected members of government, what equally our senior civil servants, you know, respectfully.
No, I mean, one of the things that we have to do more as a society is encourage each other to express your opinion. I don't have to agree with you,
right?
But I should respect your opinion. I respect the gentleman's opinion. You know, that's his opinion, and his opinion is based on his knowledge and his experiences. Equally, my opinions on most things are the same thing. It's based on my experiences and my knowledge base that I can apply to come up with an opinion. But we shouldn't get upset with people who have a different opinion of us, and everybody has a right. I will defend your right to have your opinion, whether you agree with me or not. You know, and as my good friend Aaron McLean has said many times on your show, his father told him he didn't learn anything from anybody that agreed with him, right? So it is necessary for us to disagree in order to get intellectual and good debate on any matter, you know?
Yeah, I think this is where, when we look at our Legislative Assembly, that's something that you have shared for as long as I could remember hearing, you know, utterances as an elected member, and again, perhaps more profoundly recently, that we need to have structure to the Assembly, to its meetings, to, you know, the agenda. We're going to meet on this time. So it gives the country, just like if we have a season, the football, you know, starts, that we can go and watch the matches. We can put it in our schedule. If we know the Legislative Assembly during the month of September, during the month of February, it's going to be in session, and during these months, this is what they're going to be looking at. Just for example, we can, if we're so inclined, sort of be mindful and prepare ourselves. Maybe it is. Now, could we start off initially talking about what potentially, when is supposed to come to pass? Have we seen there's some date set? What may be expected as the session opens?
Well, it has been rescheduled to start on the 4th of April.
Yeah.
We have some bills have been circulated. We have an amendment to the Builders Amendment Bill. We have one for the exchange law to provide for the presentment of checks by electronic means, which was something that Mr. Alva Soku has been stirring for a long time to get it done, so it's finally getting it done. So that we can have almost instant clearing of checks. You don't have, because you walk into the bank now with a check, put it in your account, and they tell you got to wait 3-4 days for it to clear. Although they have credited it and debited from your account, it's not credited to your account, although I'm paying you. So that's to try and get around some of that. Then we have a design rights bill, which again is to do with
intellectual property and the like, right? I think that's that one.
Yeah. Provision of protection of design rights in the Cayman Islands and whatnot. And we have a trust amendment bill. Some of this has to do with and there's a couple other ones that I don't have here with me, which I have to pick up from the LA, to do with the response to the recent Caribbean
CFATF.
Yeah. I don't remember
the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force.
Right.
It is. Yeah.
They have suggested that we need to change some laws, and some of them are being changed in the next session.
Yeah, and as the Honourable Premier had alluded to very publicly, that the report is imminent. When it does come out, it's not going to be too favorable.
Well, the report is out now. I found it. I got a copy yesterday.
Yeah.
Somebody emailed it to me. I emailed it because I'm old-fashioned. I like the printed version. I emailed it, took images, and had them do a bound copy for me and a bound copy for Mr. Chris, who's our opposition spokesman on these financial matters,
Yeah.
And he and I will talk about it and probably issue a press statement on it early next week.
All right. I don't wish to create any trouble. This is not meant to ask for insight. We know that the Honourable Speaker of the House had sort of chastised, if I can use that word, and say, listen, don't use shadow ministers as a thing. You had said in organising the opposition, we need to play the role that the Westminster model dictates. Mr. Saunders was the shadow minister.
Yeah.
So is that still the terminology that we should be using?
Well, I use that and an opposition spokesman interchangeably. The fact that the Speaker has ruled it as, I think he said it was unparliamentary because we some constitutional development we need to use the term or something, but it doesn't, a rose by any other name is just as sweet. The fact is that I thought it was time to organize the opposition and to do so in a manner that allowed I can't be all things to all people, right? So we divided up the work, and that's where it is.
All right. And I ask that only because I think as we look at not just the changes that will come by sort of legislation and as it were in written, but by convention, that habitual practice over time, then it becomes accepted norm. If you start to look now, increasingly we're referring to different aspects. The word cabinet now has become accepted. Minister. Not long ago,
I can remember when those were fighting words.
Not long ago,
socialistic and communistic and all kind of things was adjectives was those words. But it just goes to show that we are a country that can mature. We just need to mature a little faster in certain directions. That's all.
All right. Well, we you know what? I'll be mindful that I still have a small role to play.
Yeah.
No, but with that, Mr. Miller, our people have almost on federal access. Certainly had greater access just through Radio Cayman alone to listen to the proceedings of the Legislative Assembly as they're happening, or we can go back after they're transpired. We have access to the Legislative Assembly through the office over there. We go down, we ask, we get access. I don't know.
I don't think there's any other democratic country in the world that I am aware where the people have any easier or any greater opportunity to interact or access with their duly elected representatives or ministers of government or the premier or the leader of the opposition than Cayman.
Right. I think, too, that a politician once reminded me, an elected politician, he said that the voters, if they don't appreciate their value, but also their power, if they feel so motivated, that the politician isn't being responsive to certain thing or is engaged in a particular path, that particular voter can either stand for election and campaign directly against, can organize directly against, and as he was sharing that, I thought he wasn't sort of lamenting and complaining, and he was recognizing that, wow, this is a powerful instrument that unfortunately to some of us isn't embraced to the extent. It should be a corrective tool.
I mean, Saturday night I was given the opportunity to offer a lecture to some young men, and we talked about. I talked about how we're all getting caught up on the rat race trade mill, right? And it's all about materialistic things and all about me getting more than you, you know. And we stretch ourselves to the limit and we lose the real value of life, you know. And we talked about almost anything that you wish to comment on, you know. You can make a choice, a conscious choice. Do I want to be negative about this or do I want to be positive about it? And you can be either. You can do either. If you don't like something that's being done, you can say, well, I'm going to be negative about this and I'm just going to complain, right, about this matter and offer nothing
That's
to help
easy.
the situation,
Yeah.
other than for the person who I'm complaining about or against, knowing that I disagree with them. Or we can take, which is the one that I try to do more often than not, is we can take a positive and you can say, okay, while I disagree with what you have done or the way you're doing it, can I offer a suggestion? Can we engage in a discussion that is positive rather than negative, so that I can influence the outcome, so that we're all better off? Because I found out the hard way, right? That if you can come up with solutions where it is a win-win, even if one person wins a little more than the other, you know, right? People tend to be more acceptable and more receptive of that. And if we look at the problems we face in life and we look at the issues facing Cayman right now, we can do those two things. We can either be negative and withdraw from the solution and trying to help to create the solution, or we can find a way to make a positive contribution that will influence the solution to the problem and maybe even make it a little better than it would have been. Because we have to, and to do that, you have to accept that if I bring something here, you should show me enough respect to believe that I'm bringing the best I can do, right? So I believe in what I have, right? Now, me telling you just, well, that's not right, and complain about it is not really going to help you. That's not going to provide you with information or any desire to change the output that you have calculated as being the best output, right?
No, with that in mind, though, as we speak into Honorable Diaz Miller, sir, as a people, generally speaking, are we sufficiently resolute? How they say it, you know, is it that too many of us are too thin-skinned? So if a person disagrees with somebody else, they take it personal, you know.
The two things that is very common in the society that I now live in, right? If you criticize something I do, it's automatically taken personal, or you don't like me, right? Or when we don't listen to the criticism in a way that is likely to influence how we think about the situation before us, right? So even if we don't take it personally, we discount what you're saying, oftentimes for various reasons. It might be from my point of view, it might be a socioeconomic issue. It might be that my professional training allows me to believe I would therefore have greater insight into this particular issue, right? But I remember my university days, which was, just yesterday.
Mine too.
And I had a lecturer in decision making and governance at the University of Minnesota by the name of Carl Plateau, right? And he ran the Lutheran hospital next door, which was 1,100 beds. And while he treated everybody fairly, he did not shy from the fact that Lutherans got treated more fairly, right? And he had this modus operandi. So he invited me to a board meeting. And then I walked into the room. It was just a white room. No chairs, no table. and the agenda was written on a board at the end. So, I would, as a young student, I was kind of taken aback. So, there's no chairs, there's no table. He says, no, we come here to discuss those matters on our board. If I make people comfortable around a table with chairs and all the other things, we'll be here all day, right? But if you're here and that's there, and he opened the door into a room next door, and there was a total smorgasbord, right, of food and drinks and everything else. Once he got the board meeting, they could go in and chat all they want, right?
Work for you get paid kind of mentality.
And then he had so during the festive side of it, as I would call it, I met one of his board members who was a very low-key guy, was a farmer, lived outside the city and everything. So the next day we were doing a kind of analysis of how the board meeting went and why he did certain things, etc. So I said, well, sir, you have all these professors and lawyers and accountants and business people on your board. What is, and I just use the name Farmer John, doing on your board? And he said to me, Miller, there are times when Farmer John can make all of them look stupid, right? Because he's going to take a practical, right, common sense analysis and approach to the problem. And so we shouldn't, it's just human nature to try to reduce somebody's input based on what we perceive as their social status in life, whether academic or whether just, born with a silver spoon, as opposed to somebody who may not speak as fluently as we do. We don't believe that they dress like we do, right? But if you listen to them in their own right, they make a lot of sense. The key is listening.
But that is the challenging part, to listen, active listening, that engage.
And, I invite you, Mr. Sterling, to do one of my little things that I do. I've told you about my 444, right? Before I lose, these days, before I fall back into being the old Ezra, I have my 444 rule, right?
Okay.
I inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. You'd be surprised how much time that is to think. It's 12 seconds seems like a short time, but it can be very useful. But another thing that I do is when the job that I do, which I don't do it for thanks, but sometimes the thanklessness, right, of it can wear you down, and you tend to say, well, do I really need this? Why do I do this? Those are times when I go home and after my children and wife has gone to bed, I lay down on my hammock and I remember all the good things that happened to me. And I can tell you that is better therapy than any kind of medicine that I could possibly take. And I would hazard a guess that there are very few of us in life who have more bad things happen to them than good. Now, it might be a value judgment of what you call good and what you call bad, right? But equally so. Sometimes when you're in one of these situations where you want to disagree with somebody, but you feel an obligation to do it respectfully. Think of the times you found yourself in those situations and you reacted negatively and destructively versus the times that you reacted positively and constructively. And tell me which one you got the better outcome from. I would hazard a guess that it is the latter, not the former.
Indeed.
The situations where you tried to be constructive and supportive, right? You say the exact same thing, right? But you say it in a different way, right? You were more successful in attaining change in whatever you was trying to get done.
Right. Mr. Miller, sir, we do have a caller joining us, and maybe someone else will embrace the 444. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. Hello. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Roger Merrin calling. I got to bring this up to you. I'm basically right now on the road driving and working at the airport, with my taxi. And I got a couple in my car taken to a hotel in 7 Mile Beach. They paid for 2 nights. And they put it up because they just came in on the flight and with immigration, they're here for 6 nights. They booked 2 nights at the Comfort Suites and thinking about going up to the Wyndham and the East Side for the 4 nights. But they were pretty upset because of immigration basically took their passport from them and held it because they said that they don't want people sleeping on the beaches and you only got booked 2 nights and blah, blah, blah. And these people are people up in, middle-aged people, respectable-looking people in my car. And it really got me a little bit upset myself to know that immigration got the authority to do that kind of thing. These people already paid for 2 nights at Comfort Suites, and they paid $300 a night for Comfort Suites. They're price gouging here. And the people say they'll never come back here again. I have them in the car with me now, and I told them on the talk show and let them know what's going on. And now they got to go back tomorrow to pick up their passport because they might be moving somewhere else in 2 days. So it's another hotel. But it doesn't. It doesn't make me feel good as a tourist ambassador. Coming to that and that happened. I don't know how immigration can even have the authority to take their passport. You come here, you paid for your hotel room, you got money on you, and that's it. Anyway, I'll listen to what you got to say about that.
All right. Well, I guess if anybody has authority, it would be immigration.
Well,
right?
I think immigration has not only authority but the responsibility to ensure that when people come here, they have the means by which to do what they say they want to do. And if you say you want to stay 6 days and you will have reservations for 2 days, it would probably raise. But again, obviously the immigration officer handled it fairly well, and he let them on. He let them through immigration, right? He kept their passports from to come back and I guess prove that they have somewhere else to stay for the other 3 days. Because remember that camp coming here and camping out on the beach is illegal.
Yeah. No, I understand the caller's perspective equally, though, that as an ambassador, maybe it goes against the green of this, what our tourism department has now coined the Cayman kindness, a natural thing that we did. On one hand, this seems to be a gesture, an act that is not indicative of that nature. But then from the perspective of the authorities, people who land must be able to demonstrate that for the period of stay that they're here, they can support themselves. One, to guard against that illegal work, but 2, to ensure, as the caller shared, people are not homeless, staying on the beach. Is there, though, to the caller's point, a way to ensure, without affronting the callers, and certainly without offending the visitors and leaving that bad taste, to make sure that we have that accord? Because I could go to a hotel and check in and say I can spend 6 nights, unless they demand payment up front. After the first night I could check out. I don't like the accommodation. I was offended by the service. I found something better elsewhere. What is our practice, I wonder, and as we look at protecting the borders but also ensuring a welcoming atmosphere?
Well, I agree that it should be handled professionally and proficiently. And, I don't know what went on. Right. I know that oftentimes I myself tend to want to react.
I was thinking that 444 came in handy then.
With immigration in the U.S. in particular.
Yeah.
And on a more recent visit to Jamaica, I had to answer a number of questions that at the time I thought were a bit much for somebody who goes there as often as I do. Right? But I answered the questions, and I have had to produce for immigration officers in Miami where the proof that I have reservations for the whole time that I want to stay there.
Wow.
And luckily I did it all on Expedia and had all the printouts and everything else, right? But so it is difficult to analyze positively a situation like that without knowing the details.
Right.
But I would hope that the immigration officers, whatever they did it in a respectful and in a pleasant way, because we don't want that kind of reaction to be left in the minds and psyche of the people that we want to come here as tourists.
Right. But respectfully, hopefully it's an instance where, on one hand, as you shared, it was conveyed in a way. But secondly, I wonder to what extent the authorities are aware that we're having this incidents where people are here, where irrespective of where they come from, and they're not staying in accommodations. They're just, making their ways. Now, we know some people, what they call adventure travel, and they just want to, Cayman isn't conducive to that sort of thing. We don't have those sort of facilities. Others may, because of financial means, find it to be part of their psyche. Not speaking to this particular instance, but then to those who visit, are we managing to ensure that that welcome is extended? And as we look at it, to your point, when we travel, we may stay 1 week in one part of, let's say, the U.S. and another week in another part. Chances are we have already pre-booked, at least made reservations, and the like. I think that break is near. All right, definitely have to take that. I do apologize. And we take a caller. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. All right.
My friend, Dwayne, and my friend, Mr. Ezard.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I heard what Mr. Marin just said. Now, I like you, I don't know what was said to the people by the immigration officer. But if they had reservations at the Comfort Suites, all they had to do was to show them the immigration, their confirmation number, and that they are confirmed at the Comfort Suites. Now, immigration was supposing to ask them that. I don't know now if immigration did, because, make I tell you, some of them can be like pigs at times. And I don't mean that. I really mean that. That they can go above what they're supposing to do, and if they wanted to go to the other end of the island at Moritz, then the immigration should have asked them, where is the confirmation for that hotel? That's what normally should have done. I worked in the tourism department long enough to know that. But at $300 a night, I don't think you come in here to sleep on the beach. So, God, you gotta act with little common sense. Authority, yes, but with little common sense as well.
Agreed. And that's what I was saying. I hope that because there's proper ways and there's wrong ways to do these kind of things. We need to get the information. We need to be assured that they are, but it should be done in a proper way.
Yeah, and if they thought that they were going to sleep on the beach, why did they let them go?
All right, well, thanks very much. And maybe this will be an opportunity to investigate a little bit further, not with respect to that incident, but to their practice generally. Anything else you want to share with us, Mom?
And why did they take away their passport? So if they were going on the beach, they could sleep a little, they could stay a little longer on the beach.
Yeah, it doesn't. That's why I'm reluctant to because immigration don't normally take your passports without,
Yeah. Well,
a reason.
Yeah, I would hope not. Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Rachman.
And answered, I said it over and over on this radio. I thank you. I thank Arden. I thank Chris. I thank Kenneth Bryan. I thank Mr. Saku for always trying to give us some information that we need to hear out there. I can just imagine how the older people are feeling when they don't know nothing about what's going on in this island. So I thank you with all of my heart, and may God bless you all and give you health and strength.
You're
Good
doing it on a
afternoon to
regular
both of
basis.
you.
Thank you very much, Mom.
All right, man. Thank you too, Mom. Thank you. Amen to that. Let's pause quickly and take a short break. When we come back, more talk today.
CUC advises participants in the Green Iguana Culling Program to exercise extreme caution around the CUC's poles and power lines, especially when extracting iguanas from trees or branches that are in close proximity to poles and power lines. Participants should keep all objects such as poles, sticks, or hooks away from any CUC equipment to avoid any electrical contact. For further information, please contact our customer service team at 949-5200 or via email at service@cuc.ky.
Radio Cayman.
The Cayman Brac Annual Agriculture Show takes place this Saturday, March 23rd from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. at the Agriculture Show off Songbird Drive, Bluff Road. Radio Cayman will be bringing you a special live broadcast of all of the day's activities starting at 10 a.m. Radio Cayman will be at the live broadcast of the Cayman Brac Agriculture Show, which is proudly sponsored by L&M Variety Store, Billy's Supermarket, Cayman National Bank, Yellow, Pesquill, Foster's Food Fair IGA, Popo Jebs, and Colonel Market.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination, offering a variety of vacation experiences. And regular Miami airfares are now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, with Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
This Easter weekend, the Cayman Islands will welcome the rest of the Caribbean, and you do not want to miss it. Carifta 2019 takes place at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex from April 20th to 22nd. Watch the region's most talented track and field athletes compete and come cheer on your Cayman athletes. Get ready to raise your flags at the Caribbean's biggest athletic event this Easter weekend. It's Carifta 2019. Tickets start as low as $10. On sale now at CaymanCarifta2019.ky. See you at the games.
Carifta 2019, brought to you in partnership with the Cayman Islands Government and CUC. Sponsored by the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, DART, Maples Group, Pinnacle Media, and Radio Cayman.
It's all about unity.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after,
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
health insurance with far-reaching benefits,
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
low-cost life insurance,
And investments.
security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after,
Visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory-breaded, frozen and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Loose change may not seem like much to you in the moment, but it can sure add up to a lot. Last year, the Meals on Wheels coin drive helped to deliver over 6,000 nutritious hot meals thanks to your generous donations and the awesome volunteers. So please, gather up your loose change or whatever you can afford to donate when you see Meals on Wheels volunteers stationed around Grand Cayman on March 22nd and 23rd and join Meals on Wheels, Davenport Development and Radio Cayman in the fight to end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Visit mealsonwheels.ky to sign up today.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today in the studio. The Honourable Leader of our Opposition, Honourable Diaz Miller. And I say that only because as I start to understand our sort of parliamentary style of politics, Mr. Miller, we have a Westminster model. The government and the opposition is the government in waiting, and it's organised. That's how it works, right?
It's supposed to be.
Okay, and in our constitution, as I gather, I can't tell you which section, but it recognizes the position of opposition leader as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
right. So I'm trying to be mindful, but also to be informed.
Right.
So people might, oh boy, he's having fun. Yeah, of course he is.
The thing is that you can learn and have fun. There's no rule that says that you can have fun while you're learning.
The most time, in the best time that you learn is when you're having fun.
Yeah, exactly.
With that, I'll be careful because I can see Mr. Rowling saying, now listen, young man, you try to behave now, be respectful. Your mama might be listening. The Public Accounts Committee was in session yesterday.
Yes.
Could we ask two things? One, for those who don't know, or we forgive us for those who do not, trying to speak in a way that you find to be belittling. But the function and importance of the Public Accounts Committee, just quickly, and then secondly, what some of the things that transpired and is expected to transpire?
Well, we provide, with the assistance of the Auditor General, scrutiny of government's expenditure and determine that it was actually done for the purposes for which it was voted, because the only body that has the authority to approve expenditure in its totality and in the final analysis is the Legislative Assembly. So we provide oversight and we provide a scrutiny, and in modern day we've moved into value for money exercises, etc. So it's a very important function.
Indeed. And before we ask you for some of the things, we're informed that a caller is joining us. Certainly appreciate Mr. Miller's not just sort of insistence, but he said make sure your callers get preference. So let's go to our phones. Good afternoon, you're on Talk Today.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, Mr. Miller. You better take these calls.
Well, listen, if you don't, I can tell you it's not because of him.
Okay. At the airport a couple of days ago, had a couple came out and they say that they came a bit early. They have no reservation at no hotel, not until the next 3 days. And they wanted to see if they could get onto the flight to Cuba. So I sent them over to the Cayman Airways, and they said that the ticket was too expensive. And then they came back, and they said the ticket was too expensive, so they need to try to find somewhere reasonable to go. So suggested down at Margaritaville, and then someone else suggested a place there by by the Kentucky Fried Chicken, some rental by the cemetery. So the guys left and went down to see about getting a place there for 3 days, because then they came early with no reservation until the fourth day of the month, the week that they were here. And you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you can jump on a plane and come somewhere and don't have no reservation. Your reservation is within the next 3 days, but they came 3 days early and nowhere to stay, and their money was limited, you know. And they went about their merry way, so I don't know whatever came out of the story, because another taxi took them. And I want to say there was a lady on the flight week before last. She came and she went through immigration. She went through customs. When she was making her final exit of the building, Mr. Miller, the lady at the door entrance said to her, what is your purpose for your visit to the Cayman? She said, I'm here to celebrate my birthday. She said, well, where are you coming from? She said, I'm coming from so-and-so. She said, let me see that bag you have there. The lady had a handbag and it had Bob Marley picture on the canvas handbag. But what I'm trying to say is, Mr. Miller, the lady say that she went through custom and immigration, and when she got to her final exit of the airport, this lady was rude to her and had an attitude. And she said her birthday was full instantly of the way the lady approached her on her final exit out of the airport. You understand? She said, why didn't immigration and them ask me all these questions? Why this lady at the exiting is asking me these questions? I thought I was already clear and ready to enter out to get a taxi and go to my hotel. But I say all that to go with Roger with his problem he's having. I just want to say that everything that glitter is not gold at that airport with our visitors when they come in there. They complain a lot, say the waiting is long. They get a lot of nasty attitude from the immigration and customs. I had a gentleman just before yesterday. He told me that he said, Ella, the customs and immigration not as friendly as it normally is. He said, I come here more than 3 times a year, and this is the first that I came in here, and there's a bit snobby and have a lot of attitude. I say, well, it looks like we have a lot of new immigration and custom working there at the airport. So I don't know what the problem is, but hopefully next time you come, you won't experience that. You know, we got to go and plead and try to comfort these people when they come out of these places as a taxi driver and an ambassador for our island. So I just want to leave that with you, Mr. Miller, to the fact that, you know, things going at that airport. We got people coming here and don't know where they're going to stay when they come. And I specifically told the couple, I say, you all don't have no reservation. Please, you're not allowed to go into a low sleeping bags in our beach. And you're not allowed to sleep in any chair. You may come across while you're on this island. They say, really? I said, yes, really. You can't do it. So I left them with that.
All right.
Fine.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Now, with respect to the airport, we understand that it was supposed to be, you know, finished and open for the royal visit. Now it isn't.
The compass says today that because it's not going to be finished, but he can still open it.
Listen, I'll leave it to you to. Because I mean,
what can I tell you? It was supposed to be finished end of December, and we were given assurance that it was on budget and it was going to be finished. Then we heard, well, you might have a little overrun, and it might be finished by end of January. Then it went to February, right? Now it's 31st of March is, you know, hip and scarp away, and it's still not finished. And one wonders. The problem I have with the airport design is that there's so much money being spent on things that have no functional value, right? When you drive up to the airport now, right, and you see these covered canvas things, right,
looking things,
you almost believe that the contractor put them down the wrong way,
or that the roof is leaking and trying to cover it.
Yeah, because they don't serve no purpose for you driving up. Right? Because you can still get wet. If they were turned around, they would serve 2 purposes. You might not get wet as much because they're too high now, but anyway. But at least the water would not be running towards the building, and the water would be running into the streets, and then you could guide the water to the drain wells, right? I don't know. It's. I mean, when you look at you can't. Most of these you can't see from the airport itself, but if you drive across Jose Station and the sun is at the right angle, you can see some things glittering in the sunshine, so to speak, between the two arches.
Yeah.
Now I understand that this is some very expensive material that they put up there that is supposed to resemble a turtle shell. Because you remember that the part of the great design in this was this turtle shell concept. I hear on the Mar Road that those canvas things you see up there above that standing seam roof is somewhere in the region of $500,000. And when you look outside, I came through there Friday gone, tomorrow, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. I noticed that your luggage, we still have some kind of lean to postal lean up where they got a roof on. Now, Airport Design 101, the baggage handling and unloading is usually under some kind of cover. You drive in one need to go out the other, you know.
Sorry. Yeah. 101 is it?
I understand that they may have lost the warranty on all of those garbage belts because they were exposed to the elements when they shouldn't be. Which is going to be very important down the road. But you know, again, you send in FOIs and you get all kind of redacted information back. But it cannot be said that the airport is a huge improvement on functionality for the traveling public. I don't know any Caymanian that I've seen coming through that likes the idea that they got to walk all the way around all of those ropes and tapes and things to get to the last line for Caymanians, you know. I don't know why we're ashamed to do things where the Cayman line should be right at the door, right up front, you know, and you walk right through.
Yeah. It is.
But anyway, it's my concern is that we seem to have spent an awful lot of money on things that does not improve the function of the building. I have yet to talk to either an airline employee, a customs officer, an immigration officer, or anybody that works there security that thinks the building is a huge improvement in them doing their job.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, too, a number of, we live in a generation that we see more and more elements of creativity be expressed. And so amongst our art students and budding architects and designers and the like, and even some who may, like myself, consider ourselves young, a number of the resident population, including students, have commented that aesthetically the building is atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Sorensen-inspired design, is more like a eyesore. Now,
actually, the beach rocks that we had on the other one was seen more appropriate than these canvas covers that serve no value.
Well, someone asked if they were band-aids, because was this on the same roof leaking?
Yeah.
And as the callers, two callers talked about trying to pacify tourists and the like and visitors, and I can understand the position. I was in a conversation where somebody much more skilled at design, architecture, and engineering and like seemed to be at pains to explain the aesthetic, the design value, and what have you. And you had a tough time.
You see, one of the things, particularly from a government point of view, my view is that when we hire these, particularly these foreign export design groups to design buildings for us, we have to be very careful and very deliberate in our drafting instructions. A lot of attention needs to be paid to what is the function that is going to go on in the building, and that the building is designed to improve that function. And then once we get that, then we should be in a position to do what I call value engineering. Is there some things that we can do differently that will reduce the cost but still get the same function? Or we will be able to expand it easy, I recall when I did the dental clinic at the hospital in 1989. One of the things that I had a hard time convincing the architect was that I wanted all of the plumbing, the air, the vacuum, the oxygen, and the electrical stuff for each dental chair and each dental office to be put in a 12-inch pipe, right? One, so it could be, and that had to go right to the end of the building, so it's terminated there, right, with a cap on it, so that if we needed to build another 4 chairs, right, all things is already, you're not going to cut down a wall, you're not going to do nothing, it's right there, right? And that's what I'm talking about, value engineering. And when I first said to him, oh, no, you don't need to put him in a pipe. But no, but that's not the reason. It's not because I want him in a pipe. I want him so that I can expand the building.
Making provision, huh?
When you look at the airport, the usual place that needs expansion is the departure lounge, where it is, right? What have we done on that? We've put the restrooms at the end of the building. So it kind of makes it kind of difficult to expand that building now because you can move the restrooms, which is usually a complicated thing with all the pipe and plumbing and everything else that's involved in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the kind of things that I'm talking about, the functionality. One of the other things that I notice when I go there is the old airport had 3 or 4 sets of automatic doors on there when you were going in to check in, right? This place only got 1 or 2, you know. What happens if something happens inside and you need to get a couple of 100 people outside in a hurry? The rest of it is solid wall, you know. So,
what was it? The principle, you know, form follows function, you know, in architecture, perhaps.
And it you know, we particularly, like I said, in a situation with government where you're spending other people's money and the public funds, functionality should be the first word in a building that's being built. I have the same concerns about the design for the new mental health facility. I'm really disappointed that that's been put off again. It has to be retendered and all kind of stuff, right? But when I was shown the plans at the end, of course, you know, not in place where you could put any influence into it, and you look at a simple thing, you know, the roof is 12-12, right? You know, but no snow can settle on it, you know. But how much time down there? How many times a year down does it snow? We're talking about global warming and not global cooling, right? I mean, any contractor can tell you that there's a substantial difference from the normal 412 roof that we put on houses in Cayman and a 1212 roof in terms of material and labor and everything else, you know. But again, these are simple things that you need to tell the architect, you know, and you certainly don't want in a mental health institution exposed rafters. And I mean, it's, you know, kind of mental health 101. You know, you don't provide opportunities for people to do the wrong thing, you know. But again, I made some comments on it, and obviously it didn't go down very well. I asked for a set of plans so I could look at it and give them some input. I haven't gotten the plans. This has been several months. But again, yeah, so the airport is, we haven't gotten, in my view, what we should have gotten for $60 to $70 million.
You mean, so we hope for that's the cost, because rumors, speculation, innuendo, comments by some say we're looking at $100 million, closer to.
But I think it's going to be more than $100 million, but I would hope that is going to include the improvements of what we call the airside, which is the taxiway and the extension of the runway.
Wow.
I don't know. I was told today that there's under some consideration now of building a piece onto it, onto which they'll put the jetways, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It is not good when we put, and I want to say this, I want to be careful because I want to be positive about this, we talked about earlier, beyond being negative.
Mm-hmm.
We need to put people in charge of things like the airport that are likely to develop it in a positive way and have the necessary experiences and whatnot to do it.
All right. Well, when we come back from the commercial break, as we kick up the headline news at 2, could we also just revisit the question we were asking earlier about the whole issue of yesterday's meeting at the PAC, and in particular this third-party plan reviews and the notion, and maybe even ask about the life expectancy of the airport. Who knows? Please join us after the 2 p.m. headlines.
The Cayman Brac Agriculture Show Committee presents the 16th Annual Cayman Brac Agriculture Show, Saturday, March 23rd from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Agriculture Grounds of Songbird Drive on the Bluff. Tons of fun for the entire family. Animals, antiques, art and craft displays. Only $8 entrance fee. Children 4 to 10 years old, $4, and free for children 3 and under. Raffle tickets are $10 and include entry for a grand prize of $2,000 among others. Travel from Grand Cayman is a breeze with extra same-day flights on Cayman Airways. Check them out on Facebook at Brac Agriculture Show. Don't miss the annual Cayman Brac Agriculture Show, Saturday, March 23rd.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
A new management consulting firm opens in Cayman. Carton says it's the first technology-focused strategy and management consulting agency on island. The new company is expected to meet a growing demand in the industry for advice around digitalization, with the company's key offerings geared towards digital strategy, data and analytics, and digital transformation services. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in News Elsewhere. Some 15,000 people still need to be rescued from the devastation caused by Cyclone Ida, Mozambique officials have said. The cyclone victims there are stranded by catastrophic flooding and are clinging to roofs or stuck in trees, charities say. In the port city of Beira, aid workers say there are only 2 to 3 days of clean water left. Expedition operators are concerned at the number of climbers' bodies that are becoming exposed on Mount Everest as its glaciers melt. Nearly 300 mountaineers have died on the peak since the first ascent attempt, and 2/3 of bodies are thought still to be buried in the snow and ice. More than 4,800 climbers have scaled the highest peak on Earth. And the descendant of a black American slave has sued Harvard University, claiming the college profits off images of her alleged ancestor. The pictures commissioned in 1850 by a professor seeking to prove that blacks were an inferior species is believed to be among the first photos of U.S. slaves. Tamara Lanier's lawsuit says the school is perpetuating the systematic subversion of black property rights. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
One TradeX knows there's more than one way to invest. One TradeX is the Cayman Islands' only fully licensed online broker-dealer, offering discount trading services to individual investors and traders, hedge fund managers, and family offices. One TradeX has the most competitive online trading prices of any offshore broker worldwide, with no custody or management fees, free demonstration accounts, and no charge to open an account with a $5,000 minimum deposit. Trade stocks, options, futures, bonds, and Forex. Learn more and open your free demo account today at OneTradeX.com. OneTradeX, the Cayman Islands' #1 choice for online brokerage. OneTradeX is licensed to conduct securities investment business by the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority.
Did you know your home is wasting electricity right now?
Appliances or electronic devices can use electricity
even when they are not in use or switched off.
Also known as energy vampires, things like your cable box and microwave are wasting your valuable money. Don't let these devices keep sucking your power. To save money, simply group these devices together on a power strip and turn off the strip when it's not in use. Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page for more tips on keeping your home energy efficient. Be an energy advocate.
Hello, I am Noel March, a small business owner in Georgetown for over 20 years. Small businesses depend on government to develop a quality infrastructure and environment that encourages entrepreneurs to create and grow local businesses, resulting in the creation of jobs and prosperity for Caymanians. Small businesses help drive our economy. Just as we have supported building the new airport, we must support the building of the new cargo and cruise port. It will give our tourism industry the opportunity to grow and Caymanian entrepreneurs the chance to shine. Support the port. Support our tourism.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us in the studio. Honorable Ezra Miller is our guest. And thanks for sharing with us as we get an insight into the workings of our government, elected government, and your PAC.
Yeah, we yesterday was a continuing of a hearing that we had in January because certain witnesses couldn't make it. And we do whatever we can to accommodate the witnesses because that's the whole purpose of it. So yesterday we heard from Mr. Haroon Pandue. We were dealing with the anti-corruption measures that exist. And part of what was highlighted by the Auditor General was, as she had done in previous reports, the appearance of the makeup of the Central Planning Authority Board. And so we had the director in to talk about the register of interest and how they declare the interest, etc., etc. We had the chief officer, Mr. Alan Jones, in, and then we moved on to Miss Mistress Rosa Whitaker Miles, who is the chairman of the Standard and Public Life Board, trying to find out where that legislation is, because when we wrote that legislation in 2014, there was supposedly a hue and a cry from the private sector about the requirements. These are the same ones that tell us we how all these requirements are, for them to sit on the board. And then we amended it substantially in 2016, supposedly because of their outcry, not wanting to identify what their connections were and what their assets were, whether the public would be able to look at what decision was made and tie it back to whatever. But it's still not in effect, right? So we're trying to find a way to see if we can get it into effect. But one of the things that came out in the question and answer with the Director of Planning, talking about, because they one of the things that was highlighted was the 40% increase in applications before planning, which also leads to a number of I think he said they had done 10,000 inspections the year before, something like that. So we got into a debate about resources, and one of the things he said was that what they're trying to do is outsource some of this to some sections of the private sector. That I'm a little bit worried about that, but I trust that the department and the ministry in doing that is going to ensure that it's certainly not a situation where people who are preparing drawings are not in any way connected to any developer when they are assisting government in evaluating these drawings, because that would be a total travesty of justice if I could put myself in a position where I could hire you as my architect, right? But I got the drawings done by somebody else, but we also have a business relationship, and somehow you wound up the person inspecting my plans for planning, and whether we didn't get to the fact of whether at the stage when they outsource that stuff, it is just an evaluation of the building code, which has to go back to a proper planning officer for the stamp of approval, right? I missed asking that question as to what is the how did that part of it works, because we have to be very careful in if we are going out. My preference would be to improve the number or increase the resources of the planning department so it's all done in-house and not outsourced to the private sector, because again, they're not going to have to make any of these declarations.
And the liability as well.
Exactly.
Right. With that though, was it determine how long this practice has been happening? We know that the report statistics show that last year.
Yeah, the report was actually given to the public accounts in December 2018, but most of it was regarding the 2017 financial year.
Okay.
So it's been going on now for at least 2, if not 3 years.
So, yeah. And that has been some concerns that we received from the general populace.
Yeah, I've had people say that they believe that certain developers are being given the opportunity to approve their own stuff,
expedite their projects.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. If I will make a note to get the Auditor General to look and make sure that that's not happening.
Right. And I think this is where the whole idea of
not that just removes the checks and balances,
the oversight, the accountability, but also the potential for liability. I would imagine somewhere down the line, structure is occupied, has been given the sign off by.
And then the other thing that I found interesting, and to which I could not get a acceptable explanation, was that all parts of the Central Planning Authority meeting are open to the public except the decision making. From my point of view, in terms of scrutiny and being able to connect the dots, that's the part that I want in public.
So that is the case then, that everything except the decision making is a.
That's what we were told yesterday. Okay. Is that you can hear the argument from an objector, that's public. The counter argument in support of by the developer is public, but the actual deliberations of the decision and the voting is not public. But that's the one that needs to be public, in my view. You know, if we are going to remove this perception that all is not right and that people are benefited. I don't have any evidence that happens directly. You know,
no, just a perception.
But my responsibility is, as chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, is to do these things in a way that removes the perception from the for the general public and help the general public to have the confidence that the decision-making process is proper and above board.
Well, Mr. Miller, we do recall that the Honourable General in past reports relative to the planning and the Central Planning Authority had questioned the composition, the makeup of the board, and wondered any sort of steps in that direction.
Well, we talked about that, and the truth of the matter is that the Director of Planning has almost no influence on who they appoint for him to manage. So it kind of, Renat is the chairman of the board who's supposed to manage the board, but he has to assist him in coming to and as he's the secretary and stuff, he makes the arrangements of the meetings and all that. And it was fairly obvious and clear that those appointments as to who goes on the board are still squarely in the political arena. And again, as you know, I have advocated for some time now that we need to get beyond political appointments to boards in government. I favor an interview for a job kind of thing, because I think you need to want to be there and not just get an offer from some politician to sit on this board,
Right. Well, some people for a number of years now indicated that some boards, planning, use that as an example since that's the one we're discussing now, akin, very similar to what we see in the U.S. relative to confirmation hearings. So the chairman, the board members.
But I would not be against such a process for chairman of certain important boards like the planning authority. But actually in the legislation for off-reg, while the scrutiny is not done by the Legislative Assembly, there is a procedure in there to be appointed to a board there. You have to go through a scrutiny process by a special committee appointed to scrutinize the people, as opposed to it just being a ordinary political appointment that is decided in cabinet.
Right.
Now, but again, one of the things that I think we need to get away from is many of these decisions being made by boards, as opposed to having very strict guidelines and codes. One of the things that was subject to quite a bit of discussion yesterday was this apparent wide scope of variances of the codes and other things that the planning board can do. And I think those should be reduced to a minimum. And if there is a variance being given, it should be conditional, and the same conditions should apply to any developer.
Right. So
it shouldn't be that it's an arbitrary based on who can ask and who will ask for the most, how much you get, So I believe that the government needs to look at the planning regulations and reduce and curtail and ring fence any kind of variances that the planning board can give.
And then if so, at least make it, as you shared, across the board, it becomes a precedent. So if you're allowed to, put a stick here, in similar circumstances, a stick should be able to go everywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. But as you mentioned with the statutory boards, or the off-rig provision in the legislation isn't the same in the other sort of statutory boards.
And I have advocated that the government should advertise, just like they advertise for other jobs in the civil service, for board appointments. And because I think you're going to attract a different caliber of people altogether. First of all, it's likely to be somebody who wants to get involved in that process. And if you're going to do a good job, part of wanting to do a good job is wanting to do the job,
Yeah.
If I take it just because, it look good on my resume, or I happen to be your political supporter and you ask me to do you a favor, go sit on this board, and then you don't get the same kind of commitment, I don't think, or performance either.
Mr. Willow, it certainly isn't our intent to put any more on your plate or to speak out of turn, but we've had a number of individuals make representation recently expressing concern for the financial health and well-being of the country from a couple of perspectives. And I just looked at my notes to make sure I got a chance to ask of you. One, from the perspective that government has a bullet bond to satisfy the question as to that they're going to borrow to repay it, and the comments that we're familiar with. Two, any of the other capital projects that may come online, in addition to the one now for the airport, whether the port comes online, the other capital projects could add to hundreds of millions of dollars of additional expenditure. And but some have shared that as we look at some of these things, that the potential for the country to be looking at significant costs going forward is of great concern. First, the bullet bond. Now, I know you're not the government of the day, you're not the finance minister, it's not a question, but as chairman of PAC, but equal as a parliamentarian, any insight, any information provided?
But one of the things that we had to be careful about is, and you're the accountant, not me, why don't we ask me all these tough questions for the state of our finances, and I have said publicly before that I believe that one of the few things that the Alden, as premier in the two governments he has run, has been partially successful on, is sorting out the finances of the country and giving some confidence to the fact that we can believe, because we're also getting audit reports now on a regular basis, and the fact that we have 37 units out of entities out of 42 that are going to get unqualified audited accounts last year is a good sign. But again, we have to be careful, because between the airport, which we know is running, depending on your doctor, between 20 and 30% as a minimum on overrun, the port, which they're saying 150 million, 180 million. Most of us know that the airport was supposed to be 50, and it's way up. Plus the waste management has the potential to double the national debt.
Mm-hmm.
Not to consider the fact that we're going to need another high school in this country within the next 3 to 5 years. It cannot be denied. Right? We're going to need at least 2, if not 3, primary schools in this country. Right? Are either of those likely to be done by the private sector? The private sector might build for themselves, but they're not building for the government Cayman Islands. Right? So we have the potential to spend over the next 3 to 5 years anywhere between $750 million to $1 billion. Right? What the government is trying to convince us is that they're not borrowing any money. They're simply deferring the collection of fees. Well, on my bank account, it's the same effect, right? If I borrow some money from you and I pay you on a monthly basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I simply say to you, you don't have to pay me these fees for the next 10 years, the money doesn't go in my account, right? So I'm not so sure that, because we say that the waste management is going to be paid for through a deferral of fees, whatever those fees happen to be. We say that the port is going to be paid for by a deferral of fees. If the revenue is not coming in to the account for government, it's kind of going to have the same effect of not being there when you need it for something else, if you're spending it doing something else.
Right.
So I don't take any comfort, and I think the government needs to be more realistic in determining. I've seen no projections or no numbers. What is the removal of the $12 or whatever portion thereof from port fees going to have on the operation of the port? What fees are we going to introduce that somebody is going to collect for waste management? We don't know. Because remember now that for some reason we have huge difficulty determining which of 3 bids is the best bid.
But altogether?
Well, what appears to have happened, which we have to wait and see, is that after they submitted their bids, they got together and now they're demanding to be treated as a single source provider, and they want an extra $30 million on top of what they bid. So, but we need to deal with waste management more urgent than we need to deal with the port,
Mm-hmm.
Because in spite of the government's protestations and threats by the cruise industry, who predicted, and they're building a port based on numbers that they predicted was going to be a 3% minimum decline since 2013, and it's been the complete opposite. There's been at least 3 to 4% growth per year since that, right? And continuing to grow. So, in the meantime, the waste is continuing to grow too, but only probably that one spot, right? Yeah. So, the country has to face, we need to do something about other infrastructure developments. We need schools. We're going to need something done about the East-West Arterial Way. Trying to read between the lines and the tea leaves in the Premier's speech at the Cayman Economic Outlook Conference, where he asked a question, as he put it, as to whether we need the darts to build an iconic building in Cayman. And part of the agreement for this iconic building would be that they would contribute to education or the East-West Arterial Way. That's not what I think the country should be run. I think those people should pay their dues. They should pay their fees. And the government should then spend that money on a priority basis as per the needs of the country. Because we hear now that finally we're getting the inland development for the public beach. Because when they talk about improvements to the public beach, they're not adding to the square foot of that, Right? It's under what used to be what we would call under Z Road. It's in the swamp that they're doing this improvements now, right? And when you hear the numbers that they are projecting to spend, it makes people like me believe that that can't be real. They may be spending half of that, but it sounds better because the developers provide us, so therefore he's giving us more. You see? So he inflate what he's costing, so it looked like he gave more to us. That's all it's about. And that's not a good way to in my estimation, to run the country.
Well, it's, as a caller, she asked and sort of offered that, information through people like yourselves in your position you occupy in programs like this to help to inform.
Well, I tell them when it comes to government now, if it's a secret, don't tell us. Right? Because if I get told me it's no longer a secret, if it concerns my people, I can do my best to make them know.
But something you just shared, and I don't repeat it to what other people say cause strife. You said, seemingly one bid becomes, or three bids become one, and now there's seemingly an ask for, 30 million more.
Well, that's going to be one of the things that we have to sort out through scrutiny, because we don't know. That's not what the procurement law envisage.
So that should be presumably a rebid as a single source and a reconsideration.
Well, you see, once they frame it in a single source, then there's no need to bid it under the law. But what they should have done, in my view, is they should have made a reasonable and sensible decision based on which was the best of the three bids that they. Yeah. But if the people wanted to get together after the bid was awarded because one or two of them had separate expertise that might lead to a better product, that's a horse of a different color.
Right.
But we shouldn't complicate the process by allowing them to merge before the bids are evaluated. And it's just like the bid on the port. I am still waiting for the Minister of Tourism, or better yet, the chairman of the procurement committee, to tell us how they're going to evaluate the three bids that they have. Because, and I invite the chairman of the procurement committee to come on your show or anybody else's show, or just issue a press release through GIS. My understanding is that the three people were invited to bid in this format: design, finance, construct, and maintain for 25 years. There is no requirement in the bid that they all design the same thing. Now, what you have to finance has to be entirely dependent on what you design, right? If you design one piece of iron walk out there that is 4 foot wide, and you tell them that the ship must pull up alongside that and the people must walk the plank to get shore, if you fall in the water's still clean, so it hasn't been dredged, right? That's likely to be cheaper and easier to finance than building the two piers that the government say them out. So I invite the chairman to come and tell the public what kind of matrix, what kind of point system are they going to assign to each individual bidder in order to enable them to select the best bid.
Now, Mr. Miller, with that, just for clarity, because there's been much shared publicly. Perhaps we can have it clarified. The chairman of the procurement committee is also a member of the port board. Is that the understanding?
At the time that he was appointed, I don't know that he was.
At the time he was appointed.
Right, and I have objected. I think that there is inherent perception of conflict, opportunity for conflict there. Not that I don't think the man is...
it's not about the individual.
No. Just talking about having the two positions.
Yeah.
And you know...
A man should not be a judge in his own cause is a tenet that everybody expects and accepts. So we just want to clarify that at the time. Yeah.
I have informed the governor that I am very comfortable with that scenario being in place, knowing that the biggest project that the procurement committee has to deal with in the immediate time is the port. You know?
Well, maybe it comes back to what you've championed all along, that the sort of staffing of these boards should be by way, as we've seen with the conditional release and other things, where the governor's office has invited people to participate, and you know, we see this lot of level of response. Mr. Miller, I hope that you know, for your presence today, you don't get into any problems. I hope that my team over here doesn't either, but you know, it's a Thursday.
Well, but you know, sometimes minor little problems is what makes life interesting, you know.
Oh, you say what? If you can't,
keeps your skills sharp on solving problems, which was my favorite subject in postgraduate school. Problem solving, and time management. You know,
you should work for Uncle Bill's, man. He's a problem solver.
Yeah, it is. You know, and I tell people when they tell me, "Oh, I'm busy, so I can't do this," you know, I invite you to do this little exercise.
Yeah, man.
When you get up tomorrow morning, get yourself a blank piece of paper and write down in 15-minute allocations what you're going to do for the day. Most of us can't get till 9 o'clock from 7 o'clock. You know?
We're busy all day.
We're busy all day.
Yeah.
Because you're making other things interrupted. You know, one of the most disruptive things in getting work done is the telephone.
Yep. Well, Mr. Miller, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And to our listeners, you know, continue to be actively engaged and involved through your informed participation. You'll find yourselves. And as we get there, I invite you to join me start in the morning for the record. And I come back for talk today right after the midday news and midday meditation. Start things up with a chat with our friends from the, Met Office, 1 o'clock, One World Health Forum. Well, we've got a couple of good physicians joining us tomorrow. Well, what is it they say? If you're engaged and willing to play, you can have some active, healthy, productive discourse. Until tomorrow, be blessed.